that, we would like to introduce the head of Boston Inspectional Services to discuss general issues and have a Q&A with folks. Welcome to our group.
Thank you very much for hearing me. My name is Buddy Christopher. I've been the commissioner at ISD now for 5 months. Prior to that, I'm an architect. I've been doing business in Boston for 30 years. So I have a really good understanding of how the permitting process works and how it's going to move ahead. When the mayor asked me to take this position, there were a couple of things that we wanted to expedite clearly and succinctly. One of them was to move the permitting process along so it's a much faster process. Rather than somebody going to a Board of Appeals hearing and being a year out before they could get an answer on their project, he wanted that to be dealt with very quickly. He also wanted that the minimum standards for housing be upheld in a very, very firm manner. And we've done that across the board. He also wanted to make sure that the experience at ISD was a lot different than it's been in the past. I know when I was going up there was the sentiment of no. Every time I went up there to get a permit, there was a reason that they said no. That's changing. The culture up there now is, if it's at all possible to give you a permit, we're going to give you a permit if it's within the legal confines. When it comes to a subjective decision, we're going in the direction of approve rather than not approve. We're also have mandated that when you come to ISD, you're going to leave with one or two things. You're either going to leave with a building permit or a clear understanding of how to get a building permit, so that the mystery is going to be taken out of this. We've taken the Zoning Board of Appeals and we've made a very major change. We've broken it into 2 categories. One is the 1 and 2 family small business, and the other is the commercial. It's the way the building code is organized right now. So what we've done is the 1 and 2 families have their hearings on Thursday nights at ISD. So if someone is doing a small addition or a small minor renovation to a business, they can come to this hearing. It's not as formal. It's not as uncomfortable, people have told us. You come, you sit before a panel of 3 people, state your case, you get a decision right away. What this does is 2 things. One, it allows us to get cases heard much quicker in a more comfortable atmosphere, as well as it decompresses the Tuesday morning Board of Appeals hearings, which is really going to concentrate on those larger projects that really do have an impact on neighborhoods. We want to make sure that they get the review and the analysis done very quickly. So that's some major changes there. A project now, which is as of right, and there's not a lot of as of right projects here in Boston, but an as of right project will go through our process in 20 days now. The Zoning Board of Appeals project, barring the Article 80, which are the very large projects, used to be anywhere from 90 to a year, 90 days to a year, is now going through our process in 60 days. So we've really accomplished some of the initial goals that the mayor wanted us to set out so that we could take care of getting business done in a clean and succinct manner. Some of the other things that we've done is we've reorganized ISD, and as you come up there now, you'll see that we've actually rebuilding parts of it so that all constituent services, anything you have a question on, will be on the 5th floor, to include the fire department. So when you come there now, it's one-stop shopping. You'll be able to do all of your applications for permits on the 5th floor. We've also embraced technology in a very big way. All of our inspectors are all being outfitted now with tablets, so when they come out and do their inspections, the inspection is going to be live. As they write in their report, it's automatically sent back to 1010 Mass Ave, and permits can be processed in a cleaner and quicker fashion. We've stolen one of the mayor's ideas. We have greeters now. When you get off the 5th floor, there's 2 people there that'll meet you and say hi, which is another different concept at ISD, because a lot of people didn't say hi to you. They didn't ask you, how can I help you? Those are things that are taking place now in a very big way. So you can get clear direction of where you're going and where you're not going. The overall process is now meant to help you. That's what it's supposed to be all about. We no longer want to be considered the business of no, but more the business of trying to help you get your process through. One of the policies that we have there is an open door policy. You have a question or an issue, call me. I'm going to give you my phone number. That's 961-3434. That rings on my desk. I don't answer that phone, but Tanya, my assistant, does, and I get the call right away. They usually don't, they send Lisa out with me, because they don't send me alone either. So I can't answer my phone and I can't go out alone. It tells you I've really made it far in this world. But overall, the idea is to take the mystery out of the permitting process. We are also looking at zoning in a very big way. Right now, anybody who's done anything in the city of Boston knows that the zoning code is kind of ridiculous. Back in '73, when it was first written, it was 63 pages. That big. It's now, I think, 12,000. So we're trying to look at it to make it a little more clearer and understanding, to remove some of the contradictions that exist in it, and make it so that it's easily read, so that you don't have to hire lawyers or architects to take you through the permitting process. So we're living up to all the mayor's expectations of clear and predictable, which I think is very important in any development for any city. That being said, that's the overview. We can go into more detail about anything you like or any questions that you have.
Tom Schiavone, the fast track process of 20 days, what do you do about prior notification of abutters so that after the fact they don't find out that there's a major...
It's not fast track. These are permits that are as of right. These require no zoning violations or no zoning relief. They're few and far between, believe me, the way the zoning is written today. But those are the ones that just go through the process normally. Any project that requires any zoning relief, all the city councilors are notified, as well as the Office of Neighborhood Services, so they can come back out to communities. As soon as an appeal is filed, they're notified that following Monday.
Is there, but my follow-up question, is there going to be a mandatory notification process on some of even the smaller, the more informal ones?
There's no requirement for that right now. So that's something that we can take up, but right now there is no statutory requirement for anything that's as of right.
I have a couple of questions about the expedited system, 2 or 3 actually. One of them is have you written anything, something like rules and regulations, or whatever you want to call it, so that we know what's going to be moved quickly and what isn't going to be moved quickly, what we're going to have a chance to deal with and what may slip by us without...
No, we have not written anything out specifically, but it's very clear that if you have a Board of Appeals process, there are 2 public notices that are required by the ordinance. There's the 30-day public notice period that there is an appeal being asked for. It does require some neighborhood involvement. It goes to the Board of Appeals. They render their decision, and there's another 20-day appeal after the fact. If the project is as of right, and that means, if there are no zoning violations, it's within a parkland, it's not a groundwater issue or anything like that, and that just goes through its normal process without any notification.
Well, I wasn't addressing the as of right.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to me that there are some issues that go before the Board of Appeal that perhaps ought to be expedited and others that shouldn't be. And I just wonder...
Be specific, I can answer.
Oh, sure. Suppose someone wants to put a strip club in a multifamily residential area. One would think that that shouldn't be expedited.
And per the zoning, that would probably be a forbidden use, we would hope.
Yes.
Right? And so that process, the way it would come into us is usually diagrammatic drawings are submitted, not detailed construction drawings, that would come in for a zoning review. The plans examiner would notice that it's a forbidden use, so it's an automatic Board of Appeals. So we would issue a rejection letter based on the use group. We would then notify neighborhood services and, as I said, the city councilors, so that goes out to the neighborhoods that this is going on. There is, we're developing the webpage now so that all of these notices will be online at the City of Boston's webpages, so that you'll be able to know when these hearings are. Go to there's a 30-day period there that we have to publicly notice in one of the newspapers. I think we use the Herald. And then you'd have a public hearing. And then after that, there is still another 20-day appeal period after the decision. That's going to be the same.
I'm trying to determine the distinction.
There is no distinction.
Well, because you said that small additions to your residence would be something that would be moved through quickly. And how do you make a determination which?
Those 2 processes.
And how do they differ? How will they differ?
Okay. Again, the building code is broken up into 2 categories. 1 and 2 family and businesses of 35,000 cubic feet or less. And then the commercial building code. That's the distinction between the two boards of appeals. The public notice on both beginning and the end are the same. That'll always happen. So anything that needs a variance will get the 30-day notice before the hearing, and then the 20-day appeal period after the hearing. That's for all projects. There's no exception. But for us to get it through in 75 days compared to the way it was going through even 4 months ago is much quicker in the process. There will always be a public appeal process.
Final question. May I? This is, I think, the 4th time I've suggested this to city officials. The first one was during the prior administration, 2 during this administration, and now to you. Cambridge adopted something that Somerville had already adopted, and why can't Boston adopt it? Which is putting a sign on the property that is the subject of an appeal to the Board of Appeals, so that people walking by know what the owner of the property is seeking to do and when the hearing is going to be held. Can that be done in Boston? It seems so simple.
Let me answer a question with a question. What did the other 2 people say?
They didn't say anything. They say, we'll take it up.
We're going to do
But
it. Neighborhood
it hasn't
services
happened. It
is
seems
going to
so
do
logical,
it.
so.
It's called posting, and it's a legal form of notice. It's a legal form
Yeah.
of public notice. We have no problem doing that at all.
And the size of the sign is specified in the Cambridge ordinance.
I don't know about that. We were thinking
Oh,
about
yeah, yeah.
8.5 by 11
Take
inches.
a look at the Cambridge ordinance. It's been
I
done.
don't look at Cambridge. They're too
Okay.
difficult. Too difficult. But no, we are looking at doing the posting because that makes so much sense. Because we always hear about complaints that I didn't get the mailing, no flyer was dropped off at my house. So if it's on the property, if you live near there and you walk by, you'll be able to see what it is. But that is going to happen.
I'll be watching.
Yes.
Thank
Hold
you.
me to it.
Me too.
Thank you very much for coming. Well, I guess one quick one, but we have to move to Rough very
Okay, sorry.
quickly.
My question is about, the process you described sounds very straightforward and very clear. Is it something that an average homeowner can do? Well, right now in the North End, you have to get an expert, and you pay them a couple of grand, and you get your permit.
My
So I
conversation
went
with
there
the mayor about zoning was the fact that we have to have somebody help you do that tells us that something is broken. So my answer to you is yes. In the 1 and 2 family, the average homeowner can come in, talk to us, the staff at ISD will help you through the process and get it together. There are some things that you will need a professional for. If you're doing structural, if you're doing a deck, you need a structural engineer to supply that deck. That'll come after the Board of Appeals hearing. But you can come in with relatively simple information and deal with it. We have representatives from ISD that are part of the hearing so that they can talk about code issues to make sure that you're fully aware of what's going on. And we also have people from the BRA for the design issues so that we can usually solve 80% of the projects right there and then. So you don't have to go through a lengthy process. And it's designed just to be simple, not all the fanfare and make-believe stuff that they do.
Well, sounds like a good progress is being made here. One comment that I want to make.
We always do that. We give you a compliment. You know it's coming.
No, it's actually a request and an offer to be helpful, and that is that we are in the business of trying to help create forums for people to discuss things like this, and also Victor is in the business of sort of shepherding a process where a lot of requests come in, a lot of hearing dates and all that. It has been mysterious to me that on the Boston City website, there's been no general database of what the ZBA is hearing when and all that. It's mysterious, it's closed. There was a recent Globe article saying all that's going to change, and it sounds like that's what you've been alluding to as well. And we would love to get involved in that in some way. Because if we can take feeds from your new data sources directly to our website so that we can let our residents know exactly what
That would be
hearings are
very
going
easy to
be.
do. Once the portal's designed, and we've signed the contract with the designer for it, and the portal is just a fancy way of saying the building permit
It's
application.
not the Obamacare website.
No, definitely not.
That's my name, Nancy
And this is
Tucker.
going to be a very simple process that, one, is going to give us a lot more data so that we can do a lot more analysis of what's going on, but it's going to give you a lot of information. The promise made to me is that within 6 months, you're going to be able to go online yourself, put in an address, and see what's going on. Not only will it tell you what's being asked for, it's going to tell you at what point it is in the process, who the plans examiner is at ISD, and who the building inspector from ISD actually is. So you'll have real accountability on what's happening. The other thing that we're doing, which is, again, this is revolutionary stuff. The old trick, and I did this 100 times, I got to admit, you go to the Board of Appeals hearing and everybody knows about the first meeting. And you defer, because they don't have to tell you about the second meeting. So it takes all the, people who are against you out of the loop. Because now on this side of the fence, I know that, what we're gonna do is every Board of Appeals hearing, we are gonna notice what the decision was and what's happening. So if there's a project that gets deferred on a Tuesday morning, we're gonna say that, and we'll put the date in there when the hearing is taking place. So everybody will know what's going on.
That's great. NEWRA would love to be on the beta test of this system, if we could. Okay, great.
Very good.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
speaking with us.
Thank you very much.